All right. Are you ready for this? Because we're going to examine the properties of the NumPy array using various functions. Wait a minute. What various functions? Are you going to be so vague? Well, check it out. You see on the slide, we're going to consider 4 different functions. First, examine the NDIM or NDIM. So what's it do? Oh, this gives us information about the number of the size of the array. So it is one-dimensional, NDIM, right? One-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional. Are there more? The other function here is a shape function. The shape function allows us to learn the size of the information of the array. So, for example, 3 by 3 or 4 by 2, simple stuff. But it also allows us to reach its size information in a certain way. Now, the third function is the size function, and this function gives us the total number of elements in the array. Last function that we're going to talk about is the dtype function. Now, you know the name of this function from the parameters, but this function returns the data type of the NumPy array. So, integer, float, etc. Okay, now let's put all these things together in practice. Yeah, so you know what to do first. Run import code. Now, for example, let's define a 5 by 4 random integer array between 10 and 50. Yeah, so I'm creating a variable. Let it be the matrix, for example. I mean, not the matrix, but a matrix. Anyway, say equals and then call the random function. Now, I'll go ahead and say from NP and call the randint method from it. We'll open up parentheses. Now, let's enter our values. And I said between 10 and 50, so I'm writing 10, 50. Now, I'll just enter the size information. So I'll say 5 by 4. Let's run that. See what it looks like. Now, let's check out the features in order. So first of all, we'll examine the number of dimensions. And what I'll do is I'll call the variable and put a period and write ndim for the number of dimensions. And we'll check it before we run it. Now see? How do we understand the number of sizes isn't the parentheses surrounding the array? Well, see, there are 2 parentheses. So then we can say that this array is 2-dimensional. All right, so let's run the code. Now you see it. So let's examine the dimension information. It was a 5 by 4 matrix. I call the variable, put a dot, and say the shape. So we'll run it, and look, we get an output 5 to 4. Now, let's look at the number of elements. Since it's 5 to 4, 5 times 4 will have 20 elements, right? So I'll put matrix, put a dot, and write the size function. Okay, so see, gives the output as 20. Now, finally, we can check the data type of the elements. So we write the variable and call the function. We'll say dtype. Let's run it. And look, we get the output as int 32 because it's an integer. All right. Okay, now some of you might be out there going, wait. The inty is fine, but what's the 32 for? Well, the answer is, my friends, 32 is the size. See, in other words, it refers to a 4-byte data type. You see? Now, are there any other sizes? Sure. There's int 16, int 64. They represent 2-byte and 8-byte data types, respectively. Right? So the primary data type will concern us here, not these dimensions. So in other words, it's just the word integer. Okay, so look, kind of goes into a bit of a concept there, but you'll see as we go along. But I do want to wrap this lesson up. But just rest assured, my friends, we've generated a random integer array We've looked at the properties of this array with our 4 functions. That's all we were going to do. You're the one who brought up this whole 32 thing. Anyway, just go ahead and try to produce some arrays of different sizes and properties on your own, and then check its properties using these functions. Cool? When you master that, come back and see me in the next lesson. See you then.